Oh, hello there, and welcome to another episode of Patches Metal. So this is gonna be another education, and as you may have already guessed, we have reached the lands of glam metal. And glam metal may be a little controversial, but let's just start with the beginning. It's still a part of metal nonetheless, and we'll eventually get to the point of the controversialness. Now, the hardest thing about the 80s when it comes to a history lesson is that the 80s were completely filled with fucking everything. You had the glam metal rising, you had the thrash metal rising, you had the power metal rising, you had so fucking much that it's very difficult to put it in an actual timeline. Therefore, I'm just going to split the 80s up in a couple of episodes. It's not gonna be a timeline anymore. For the 80s, it's just gonna be about different genres and their origins, and this time, as I already said, it's gonna be glam metal, so let's get fucking started. Now, before the 80s and before the glam metal era, metal had become pretty fucking big, but it had not become mainstream, and that was probably a good thing, because people were still making the music they wanted to make and not the music they knew they should make. But glam metal, sorry, keep fucking saying that wrong, glam metal was the first music genre, the first metal genre to make it within the mainstream bounds. Now, before this time, glam music already existed within the harder genres. You had glam rock, indeed, you had shock rock, you had, well, there were already a couple of glam metal bands, but they weren't really called glam metal back then. What they were just bands who were glamorous. And that may be a very weird way to say it, or it may be a very obvious way to say it, but it basically comes down to that. They sing about glamorous stuff, they look fucking glamorous, they act glamorous. Around the entire band was some sort of glam image of being bigger than life, being bigger than anyone else. And they had to show that to the world. They had to play like that. They had to be like that to be a successful glam metal band, or a glam rock band, or a shock rock band, or whatever. But where before the 80s, people were really obsessed with making music harder than they could, with making music faster, louder than they could, and that was the thing that made metal good. During the 80s, something changed about that. It wasn't so much about the hardness of the music anymore. It wasn't so much about the manliness of the music anymore. It had become about the picture of the band. It had become about how catchy is the song. It had become about how many girls do the shows attract. It had become about, well, something very weird actually, that clubs were afraid the crowd would get too fucking violent. So glam metal was the perfect mix of everything to make up for that. And this is probably also the reason why a lot of people consider glam metal to not really be a metal genre. And somewhere that is quite understandable. I myself really fucking love glam metal, but that's just because of the feeling and the vibe it has. But a lot of people completely hate it, or a lot of people call it gay LA metal. They call it gay LA metal, by the way, first of all, because they say it's gay. Second of all, because on the Sunset Strip in Los Angeles, that was where glam metal made its biggest rising. There were a lot of clubs there that basically were obsessed with booking glam metal bands just for the fact that it would attract the perfect audience, and especially a shitload of women. And the thing with women in clubs is that men like to buy drinks for women. Profit! And through this, metal had started to become something mainstream. Metal had started to become about money. And that's usually what kills a genre. On a side note, it's very fucking important that you remember all of this, because this is all gonna come back in the later episodes. Because this, especially that last line I just said, has a shitload to do with what happened afterwards. Now, to put it all in chronological order, at the start of the 80s, 1981, you had two very important debut albums, Motley Crue and Kix. For the clarity, that's Kix with an X. The Kix album was still a little glam rocky, as to not very glam metally, and the Motley Crue first album was a bit more classic heavy metally instead of glam metally. But basically, these two albums were the basis for the whole glam metal era that was to follow. Now after this, in 1983, Motley Crue released their second album, which was Shout at the Devil. And Shout at the Devil was just pure fucking glam metal, as glam metal as you could have it. And Motley Crue basically was the first glam metal band to really emerge from the kind of underground scene into the real mainstream world. And just to name a few characteristics of glam metal was simple. Glam metal was catchy. Glam metal was just a mixture of metal and pop music. Glam metal is also called pop music, pop metal by some people, but that put aside. Glam metal also had an image, and the image, I already told a bit about it, it was that bigger than life kind of image. The groupies would have to beg them to please get backstage because they needed to suck their dick, because that would be so fucking awesome. And just this entire thing made most of the metal world be disgusted with glam metal, because glam metal was everything that metal should not be. And probably worst of all was the fact that they made themselves look like women. Really, they put as much effort as they could into it to look like women. And well, this was also a thing that wasn't really widely accepted in the metal community, but they had a very funny way of explaining why they did that. What they say was that everyone was trying to be as manly as they could and was trying to look as manly as they could. And what they said was, what could be more manly than exposing your feminine side? What could be more manly than exposing your feminine side? Well, I could name a few things, but I'm not gonna get too much into that, and let's just go on with the facts, eh? Maybe the most important thing that started happening back then was that the video era started. The MTV video era, in which pretty much every band needed to have a video clip. And for most metal bands this was, well, alright, you know, but for the glam metal bands this was the biggest, most important thing they could do, because glam metal was all about the looks and was all about the gigantic audience and was all about, yeah, let's show the world who we are and what we can do in a, well, in their words, the most manly way possible. But they started making it maybe a little bit too much. They took it a little bit too far, whereas it was not about the music anymore, not even close. It was just about the image of the band, the way it looked, the way they acted, the storyboard of the video clip. You had things like Twisted Sister. By the way, I really love and respect Twisted Sister, so this is not necessarily a very bad thing, but it wasn't very much about the music, and it was just about this video clip where the singer Dee Snider was throwing the teacher of a class of children around and into the pool and through walls and through ceilings and stuff. And in another clip they were doing the same thing with the father of a guy who wanted to listen to metal, and it was basically this entire image of, oh, you don't like metal, well, we're gonna beat you up. And that's cool, of course, that's awesome, but the way it was made, you could completely forget about the song and just watch the fucking video, and that was it, you know, it wasn't really music anymore. And as Mr. Ronnie James Dio says it himself, this was the era, the video clip era, that killed metal. And for this reference you really need to watch a documentary. I'll put a link down in the description. You have to check it out because it's really fucking important and quite informative about glam metal and mostly what happened because of it. However, what I'm gonna do now is end the video here, because if I want to go further about glam metal I need to go to the 90s, and I really wanna keep it to the 80s for the upcoming couple of education videos. So the next education is not gonna be about glam metal again, it's gonna be about a different genre that also had its rising during the 80s, which is probably gonna be... yeah, no, there's just too much. I'll just get into it next time. So for now, leave me your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think? Did glam metal really kill the metal? Another thing is, let me know what you think about glam metal in general. Do you hate it as well? Do you also think it's gay? Do you think it's awesome? What do you think about the whole exposing your manly side by exposing your feminine side thing, which I think is quite rubbish, but whatever, who knows. What do you think about the music? What do you think about the act? What do you think about bands indeed like Poison or like Motley Crue, who like to dress up as women, look like women, and anything. Also, the Q&A is still coming up. It's probably gonna be the next video, which will be out this weekend. So if you have any more questions, I already got a couple of questions, but if you have anything more, anything else, let me know in the comments below. Now, a massive fucking shout out to, I hope I'm saying it right this time, Vivian? I really think that's the right way to pronounce it, so I hope I'm doing it right. She basically gave me all the info about the glam metal scene I needed to know, so thank you very much. She is the admin at, well, a couple of Facebook pages. I'll put all of the Facebook pages in the description below again. Look for her posts. She's VivAmarth. And, well, I will see you all next time again.
1, 2, 3, 4.